friends. Uh, on every Thursday, I will be presenting on each Thursday that is my new series, which is called as Literary Pearl. And in this series, I will be talking on different writers, different poets, different dramatists, different novelists. Uh, friends, in this first video, I will be presenting the first aspect, the lovable aspect, or the most popular aspect of Andrew Marvell as a love poet. So, friends, Andrew Marvell is very sensitive, intelligent, metaphysical poet, but from the multi-dimension of his personality, he is most popular as a poet of love. Marvell's love poems constitute an important division of his lyric poetry. The other two important divisions being poems dealing with the theme of religion and those dealing with nature. In the opinion of the critics, Marvell's love poetry has, with the exception of To His Coy Mistress, little passion as Cowley's, while it is full of conceits. To His Coy Mistress is masterpiece as a love poem. Marvell was a friend of Milton, and like Milton, he also has theories of true relation of the sexes which interfered with the spontaneous expression of feeling. But To His Coy Mistress is a poem where passion is allowed to take its most natural path. Although even one feels that the poet is expressing the passion of the human race than his own individual feeling, and passion as it is in Marvell is heightened by wit, the effect is striking. As a love poem, To His Coy Mistress is unique. It could not be the most popular of Marvell's poems, but for sheer power, it ranks higher than his other verses. He begins with hyperbolical protestations to his mistress of the slow and solemn state with which their wooing should be conducted, as if only time and space were their servants and not their masters. Each beauty also of face and feature should have its special and age-long praise, as I quote, "But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. Any yonder all before us lie, deserts of vast eternity, the graves a fine and private place, but none I think do their embrace." I unquote. Petrarchan approach is there in Marvell's love poems. Marvell in his love poems mostly adopts the Petrarchan tradition while dealing with the treatment of love. Like his technique and style of expression is wholly unconventional, the Petrarchan approach, which was popular among Elizabethan poets, was used to exalt the beloved and to shower glowing and eloquent praises on her beauty and charm. The Petrarchan lover was always sighing and weeping over the indifference of his beloved and over the disappointment he felt as consequence of her attitude. The Petrarchan elements can be seen in at least three poems, namely The Fair Singer, To His Coy Mistress, and The Unfortunate Lover. In the first of these poems, the lover praises the beauty of his mistress' eyes and voice in extravagant terms and speaks of her complete control over his mind and heart. In To His Coy Mistress, the lover speaks of the beauty of his mistress' limbs in hyperbolic terms, asserting that he needs hundreds and thousands of years to be able to praise them accurately. I quote, "And 100 years should go to praise thine eyes, and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest." I unquote. This is probably the best known love poem of Andrew Marvell. It is a love poem in which the speaker offers a strong plea for the beloved to soften towards him and to relax her rigid attitude to grant him sexual favors. The lover, who may be the poet himself, builds up a really strong case and supports it with arguments which no sensible woman can reject. So Marvell truly followed Petrarchan tradition in his love poems. There is an intense passion we see in Marvel's love poems. The intensity and passion depicted in Marvel's poems is as intense as in any Elizabethan love poems. The fair singer, the lover says that both beauties of his mistress have joined themselves in fatal harmony to bring about his death, and that with her eyes she binds his heart, and with her voice she captivates his mind. He speaks of, I quote, curled trammels of her hair, in I unquote, in which his soul has got entangled. If a lover can speak about his feelings, we cannot say that he is cold kind of lover. In the poem To His Coy Mistress, the passion is equally ardent. In the final stanza, poet presents fierce passion when he suggests that, I quote, let us roll our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasures with rough strife through the iron gates of life. I unquote. Poet expresses in the above lines that they should enjoy the pleasure of lovemaking with all their energy and vigor, and they should even become fierce in extracting the maximum pleasure from their lovemaking. There is a syllogistic pattern. The poem To His Coy Mistress has this intellectual quality through the passion strikes through logic and reasoning. This poem follows syllogistic pattern in its construction. It has three stages: if, but, therefore. This poem begins with if. We are told in the opening lines what the effect would be if the lovers had enough space and time with them. The second stanza deals with second stage, that is but. But at my back I always hear. The rest of the lines tells us why the lovers cannot spend their time and the space as per their wish. The third stage begins with first line of the third stanza. There are many conceits in this poem, and all are popular except the conceit in the closing 8 lines, which may create problem. Then we can say there are metaphysical poems of love of Andrew Marvell. Marvell's best poems were written in the early 1650s. The definition of love and To His Coy Mistress are among the great metaphysical poems of love. But the latter also follows classical tradition, and both have perfect symmetry and swift. They are not more simple, but they are under perfect control. The essence of both poems is paradox, yet every idea and word is an integral part of the pattern. The very title, the definition of love, is paradoxical, and the infinity of frustrated love is rendered in terms of the exact sciences of astronomy and geometry. To His Coy Mistress is the period's finest variation on the theme of Carpe Diem, a series of witty particular hyperbolical fancies about unlimited space and time lead to the grim fact of morality, which is realized in phrases half general and suggestive, half particular and concrete. The lover resolves the antithesis between love and death with the earnestness to use and conquer time. There are also Elizabethan elements in the love poems of Marvell. In some of his love poems, Marvell shows the Elizabethan influence by following the Petrarchan tradition. In these poems, he shows tendency to swell on charms of beloved in the extravagant terms, as was the case with Elizabethan love poets who followed the Petrarchan mode of love-making. In these poems by Marvell, we have the same sighs and tears and the same exaltation of beauties of the beloved as we find in the Elizabethan love lyrics. In The Unfortunate Lover, we are told that the tyrant god of love used all his winged artillery, and the lover found himself between the flames and the waves. The lover was forced to live in storms and wars. He was torn in flames and ragged with wounds. He was a lover dressed in his own blood. To His Coy Mistress is another poem in which the Petrarchan hyperbole and Elizabethan conceits combined with a metaphysical condensation of style, which is almost epigrammatic. The lover here needs 100 years to praise his mistress's eyes and to gaze on her forehead. He needs 200 years to adore each of her breasts, and he needs 30,000 years to praise the remaining parts of her body. The passion of the Elizabethan lyric is also to be found in this poem, and it finds a notable expression in the closing 6 lines, where the lover suggests that he and he should roll all their strength and tear their pleasures with rough stripe through the iron gates of life. The passion is certainly Elizabethan in its intensity. The conceit employed to express the passion is thoroughly metaphysical. As for the condensed style, it becomes epigrammatic in such lines as these. I quote, "The grave is a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace." I unquote. So, friends, Andrew Marvell's poems are poems of love, are not numerous in Marvell's work, but among several which are graceful or slightly ironical, denouncing women's tricks, artifices, and coquetry, and few hold us by their passion. So, this was all about my first chapter from my series Literary Pearls, which was on Andrew Marvell as a love poet. So, thanks, friends.